Hey, what's up, Conserving 915 family? Welcome to another episode of Conserving 915. We are your hosts, Angel,
El pinche Steve is here.
Ruben.
And Dave.
What we're covering right now is an article straight out of children'shealthdefense.org. Congress must reject Monsanto-Bayer plan to avoid liability for poisoning humans' environment.
Wait.
So who exactly is Monsanto and Bayer?
And Bayer, isn't that the aspirin?
Yeah, they're pharmaceutical
Yeah,
pharmaceutical drug company.
Oh no, big pharma.
And of course, I think many of you might already know, but Monsanto is very, very popular for coming up with a product called the glyphosate, also known as, does anybody know?
No.
Roundup.
Oh, right.
Giddy up.
Yeah.
I have weeds.
You use Roundup on them?
I don't.
Good.
You pull them out or what?
I pull out safely.
Like a normal person?
Yep.
So what we're looking at right here is, in an effort to prevent lawsuits by people harmed by Roundup weed killer, Bayer is trying to pass federal and state legislation blocking Roundup users from suing the company for damages. Uh-oh.
Oh, Lordy.
Wait 1 second, guys.
I think it's the deep state messing with our Roundup thing.
Okay. So,
There we go.
oh, no. Yeah, this is a great idea. We need to protect Bayer and Monsanto.
So even though Bayer maintains that its glyphosate products are safe and not carcinogenic, the company has thus far agreed to pay out more than $10 billion with a B in settlement costs to tens of thousands of glyphosate users suffering from non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and thousands of lawsuits remain. Uh-oh, guys. This is pretty crazy stuff. I don't know, what do you guys think about
It's
that?
kind of weird. And you see pellets and pellets and pellets of these at the stores. So, and this is...
I've actually never used it, or I've honestly, I was just kidding. I don't really have weeds. I live in an apartment, so
Weeds don't grow in apartments, guys.
I'm not around mine. It's just pebbles. That's it.
Or maybe you're a maintenance guy.
Yeah, the maintenance. Oh no, what if you use Roundup?
They spray the edges, where like the little crabgrass grows,
And that's where the you see the green spots around, no, in the neighborhood?
Is that?
You know what I'm saying? Well, you know what they do, right? Like, I think it's colorless, but they add the color so that they know where they already sprayed.
Mm.
That's why you see the green spots.
So basically, as long as you pay the price, you could poison as many people as you want.
Yeah.
Pretty
they must make a killing if they're willing to pay off $10 billion. That's a lot of
no.
money.
And this stuff's got to be going into the runoff too, man, into like the water supplies.
Yeah, it must, yeah, because it rains.
But oh man, I even want to
Maybe even to the water table.
one of the guys that's responsible for making this. I kind of want to. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna make sure he said what I think he said. But anyways, so go ahead.
So going further into this, EPA scientists conducting initial assessments of glyphosate in the 1980s discovered several mice dosed with the pesticide developed rare kidney tumors, prompting the scientists to confirm the pesticide's link to cancer.
Yeah, I mean, if it kills life, if it kills plants, I mean.
And you gotta love this part, but then the EPA's pesticides office did what it often does. It ignored the troubling research and the recommendation of its own scientists and approved the pesticide without acknowledging its documented link to cancer. It sounds like a lot of other stuff that they've approved going back in the 80s. One of the big ones being aspartame. That now we're seeing like a whole lot of unfortunate detrimental effects related to the consumption.
Even before that, asbestos.
Yeah.
Also, when it was just the normal thing to drink mercury.
And now there's some really interesting information coming out about something that was deemed very safe and effective over the past 4 years.
What are you alluding to, Angel? Something that's safe and effective from 4 years ago?
Well, that started 4 years ago, but unfortunately, people are still getting something that quote unquote safe and effective quote unquote therapy. Still
according to it's not because it's no longer. Well,
what kind of therapy are we talking about?
Something that modifies your genes.
It helps you not get the coof.
Oh.
But anyway,
supposedly, allegedly.
We're gonna have to review the community guidelines so we don't get strict. But there's a lot of really interesting stuff coming out about that. But anyway, so even the EPA subsequent assessment and reapprovals of the pesticide required every 15 years have been plagued by questionable science. In 2022, a federal appeals court ruled that the agency's finding that glyphosate has no link to cancer violated its own cancer guidelines and was not supported by substantial evidence.
Something is sus about this whole operation.
I'm telling you that.
Look,
This is not a Mickey Mouse operation.
no. But okay, this is what really gets me is, no, we have to trust the science. We have to trust the science, and the scientists, they know what they're doing. Don't ever question anything that they do. If somebody says, or someone with a lab coat says that it's good for you, or that it's, at least it does no harm to you, then you better listen, man. You better not question it, because if you do, you're a dang conspiracy theorist.
Which I would just want to say, I think like all three of you guys will agree with me. But science is something that comes from God. It's like science is a good thing. God's good, you know?
Oh, for real.
But what this is pretty much bribery under the cover of something called science. So it's pretty much like hijack the name and sort of put on this, oh yeah, this is pure science. It's unadulterated, and we use a scientific method in order to come down to these conclusions. They're not questionable or anything. But when you dig deep into this stuff, it's like a whole scheme of bribery and collusion
I was
and
gonna say
conspiracy.
that since the secularized new modern man just willy-nilly redefines terms like man, woman, like
Vaccines.
things of that nature. Now they redefined the scientific method as exchange of money.
Pretty much.
Just like another thing that they play with election integrity.
Election integrity, yeah.
That means getting ballots at 2 a.m.
Nothing means what you think it means. So the new scientific method equals bribery.
As long as you pay me well, I'll get the results you want.
Yes. I'll fudge the numbers. Don't you worry about it.
I'll present a nice little graph that doesn't really mean anything, and
like what they did with opiates.
yeah.
You know what's making me wonder? I mean, I don't know if they what the city uses, but I know in the canals they spray like there's green spots all like lined up in the canals, and the water's right there. So I'm wondering, you know what I mean? I just thought about that right now.
Isn't that just naturally formed algae?
So
that moves.
So I'm just wondering, like, because it's close to the river, so where does that runoff go? To the river, and then that river goes to the canals. They feed all the farms, and all the farms. I don't know. It's just weird.
Can't trust farms anymore.
Anyways,
all this spells bad news. All this spells icky water.
I highly recommend a biography called Sweet Misery, A Poisoned World. I got a chance to watch it. I think somebody got a chance to post it on Rumble, but it kind of goes into a lot of these details about how corrupt the FDA is and all the shady stuff that these guys do behind the scenes, going back all the way to the 1980s. Who knows how? Or did you say?
Yeah, way before. Like
before.
just now, maybe before it was never checked, but then these bureaucracies, these red tape.
And isn't it quite amazing that a lot of these guys that are at the top, the executive positions at the FDA, after they approve something extremely controversial, like a few months later, they have like nice, fat, cushy salaries at the companies for who's the stuff they approved. You know, it's absolutely, it's just a coincidence.
It is. It really
I'm pretty sure they went
That-
through an extensive interview process, and they were the best of what they do.
And I just wanted to cover a few more paragraphs from
Kind of
the
like Biden's son. Look, he's the best of.
He is very
He's a board member of
fluent in
Burisma, so he speaks Ukrainian.
Chinese.
He's got a clean
Cantonese,
slate.
all that stuff.
Man. I'm
And
sure
by
they
the
interviewed
way-
him. He knows a lot about the energy companies and all that stuff.
Don't forget to mention that he is the smartest person that Biden knows.
Oh yeah.
Joe
that's
Biden?
Oh yeah,
Smartest person.
he's got
He's got a
Nice.
PhD in Parmesan cheese.
Jeez.
So that he studied it thoroughly through the scientific process.
All that he did.
So
So I just wanted to cover a few more paragraphs
it's
before
just
we
like
go
that
into the
meme
next
that
one.
says that him and his friends get vaccinated regularly, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw a guy get vaccinated in the street.
Conversely, the EPA has relied heavily on Monsanto's studies of its own product in assessing glyphosate safety. Oh, yeah, there's definitely no conflict of interest there, right, guys?
Of course.
Using the data
Come on,
from the
man.
people who manufacture this garbage. The EPA's questionable process for assessing glyphosate's cancer risk is hardly an isolated case, like me and Dave just mentioned right now. That process was reflected in the EPA's 2020 2020 decision to reapprove the extremely toxic pesticide dicamba, even though the drift-prone poison continued to damage more than 1 million acres of off-target crops and native plants the subsequent year.
Like the EV batteries.
Yeah, that's right. I wonder how this will affect the trout population.
And earlier this year, the EPA released a report defending the safety of paraquat, signaling it was likely to reapprove the pesticide that's banned in 58 countries and has been linked to Parkinson's disease in hundreds of independent studies. As with glyphosate, those actions reflect the agency's culture of undervaluing compelling independent research on pesticides' harms.
You know what? Does Lil Biz Fozzie have anything to do with this? Is he like involved?
He's part of that crew, dude, for
He
sure.
is part of that crew.
That rapper from the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you go on to the next article? And just a quick reminder of what happened earlier this year, but this is an article out of CNN.
Oh, yes, the most trusted name in news.
Yes. Bayer ordered to pay $2.25 billion after jury concludes Roundup weed killer caused the man's cancer, attorneys say.
They were able to determine that it actually does.
So,
or at least the lawyer made a good enough argument.
So there was beyond a reasonable doubt. The jurors agreed that was the cause of this man's cancer. But so the gentleman's name was John McKivison, 49, who was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, sued the company saying he developed the cancer after using Roundup on his property for 2 decades. His attorney with Klein Inspector Law Firm said in a news release Monday. And again, I just want to reiterate the date. This was January 30th, 2024. So at the top of this year, the jury delivered its verdict, which includes $2 billion in punitive damages in Philadelphia Common Pleas Court on Friday after concluding Roundup is, quote, a defective cancer-causing product, that Monsanto was negligent, and that Monsanto failed to warn about the dangers of the weed killer, the law firm said. The jury's unanimous verdict was a condemnation of 50 years of misconduct by Monsanto and a declaration that its misconduct was in reckless disregard of human safety and a substantial cause of John McKivison's cancer. That was from his attorney, Tom Klein, and Jason Itkin.
Was he just a fan of the Roundup? It really works. I don't know. I've never actually used it.
Maybe.
You know, there's a guy that I paid once to spray my weeds, and I didn't get weeds for like a year. I'm pretty sure it was that.
And I think there was, I don't know if it was this guy or another guy, but he showed like, he picked up his shirt in court, and like his body looked all like totally mangled and maimed, like chemically, I guess.
Really?
Like it looked really nasty and disgusting.
Okay, yeah.
But I think he worked like at a university or something. But I don't know if it's the same guy. I don't think so.
He was like the concierge. And
I think he was like a maintenance groundkeeper at a university or something.
Well, yeah. I don't know what that guy used on my house at one time, but I did it 1 year, and then I read up on all this, and
you're like, nope.
That's it.
Oh man. I mean, okay. This is one of those that just so happens to come to the surface. You know, how many other, like, if a huge pharmaceutical company is involved, and a lot of money is involved, can we just safely assume that everyone is on the up and up, and no one's trying to pass things that are, you know, just rubber stamps things that they really shouldn't because it's not safe? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that you need to just not buy anything. Never again. Unless, don't buy anything that you didn't grow yourself. Maybe not necessarily that, but at least question more. Like, we need to question more. Like, a lot of what's caused the problems that we have now in our society, in the United States, is that we just assume that the government,
the agencies in charge of keeping people safe.
All the
bureaucracies,
watchdogs, you know.
and even our news, they're looking out for us. They're looking out for our best interests. That the moment we stopped really focusing on them is the moment we just like started a declining as a society.
But I don't get, this is kind of like I just don't get how people get more upset more pissed off at a bad call on a football game or
exactly.
Like they talk about it for sometimes even years. Like like that. How do you want to say it? But like those Mexican soccer fans, que no era penal, dude. That was like a long time ago, and they're still talking about it. And you know they're being they're around poisons that they don't want to be around. There's a lot of things going on, and it's like, oh, life goes on. Oh, that's what it is. But like I always think about how weird that is, that people talk about bad calls on at the Super Bowl, at the World Series, or sports for years, you know, and they get upset, they get mad at the refs, oh, they should be fired. But then they like these politicians, they're like, they not only say you should be fired, they keep on voting for some of these guys.
Yep.
Like not only them,
It's just weird.
not only is like the individual being systematically poisoned by the food, the air, the water, medicine, but their children, like their grandchildren too. But they seem to be obsessed with something that has absolutely nothing to do with their individual life, that doesn't affect them personally, but they make it a personal thing with absolute nonsense, you know.
Yep.
And it's cool to be entertained and get your mind off of things.
It's
I
absolutely
think,
necessary.
but I mean, it's just like I just
To make that a focus of your life.
to make it a focus.
It's probably not a good idea.
Well, thanks for guys. Leave us a comment. What do you think about all this stuff that's going on? What do you think about all these poisons? What's your opinion? How do you think that we should resolve this? I know in the previous episode we talked about maybe implementing some sort of rules and ethics for these people, that they can't just automatically start working for the people whose drugs they approved or whatever. But anyway, let us know what do you think could make this situation better. You know, what could improve the world.
Are you or somebody that you know affected by Roundup?
Paraquat.
Or I don't know. I'm just no legal advice here, but hey, if this guy, not for the payout or anything like that, but if this guy was affected, then maybe let's be a little more careful on what we're buying. Like just check the ingredients, check the background of the company. Like it doesn't take too long. Like you can do it while you're sitting on a throne.
Oh, and I guess one more thing I wanted to add to before we wrap up the show. We also have to consider and look at the fact that chronic illness seems to be continuing, like go up more and more. It's on the rise year by year, you know. So there's definitely something going on.
And younger too. It's just
Unfortunately,
Autism, anxiety, even like mental stuff is what I'm saying. Like
30-year-olds.
even that stuff is becoming more and more prevalent.
20 and 30-year-olds with mild cognitive impairment now, you know. It's and then ADD, ADHD. I don't know, guys. Is there something going on?
I think you left your tinfoil hat at home.
Oh yeah, better. Let me go grab it for the next episode. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned.
Bye.